Have you ever helped someone who was secretly planning to put you 6 feet under? Once upon a time, during the hot months of February, when the sun was beating down on Nigeria like an angry landlord, there was a big NYSC orientation camp in Ekiti State. The camp was full of young people, some excited, some confused, some already planning how to run back to their parents' house. Among them were 2 girls who met on the first day and became friends. But my people say, not every friendship is from God. Some friendships are like snake inside flower pot, fine outside, poison inside. The 2 friends. The first girl was Zainab Haruna, from Kaduna State. Quiet, gentle, with a heart soft like fresh bread. Zainab was the type that would share her last bottle of water even if she was thirsty herself. Her mother, Mama Sophia, was a widow who sold akara morning to night to train her only daughter through school. That woman's prayers were hotter than the oil she fried akara with. The second girl was Temilade Adoroju, but everybody called her Tenny. She was from Delta State, fine girl, always confident, always looking like she stepped out of a music video. But as elders say, a beautiful snake is still a snake. Her heart was dark, and jealousy sat inside it like a stubborn tenant. They met when Zainab was struggling with her heavy bag, sweating and stumbling. Tenny walked up smiling. "Oh sister, you look like you're carrying all Nigeria's problems inside that bag. Come, let me help you." Zainab smiled. "Thank you. I don't even know why I packed so many things. My name is Zainab. I'm Tenny. I think we'll be good friends." And just like that, friendship was born. But unknown to Zainab, she had just welcomed a scorpion into her life. Camp Wola and the arrival of a big man. For the first week, camp was no more suffering, hot sun, hard rice, beans that looked like they were cooked during old times and reheated, toilets that could make a brave person cry. Zainab and Tenny stayed together, lining up for food, complaining together, laughing at boys doing toasting competition. Then one day, everything changed. A man drove into camp in a black Range Rover. His name was Damile Ajayi, but everybody called him D-Prime. The car was shining like Nollywood. His watch sparkled. His clothes screamed money. Camp scattered with excitement. Girls were forming poses, adjusting hair, suddenly behaving like poverty never touched them before. Tenny grabbed Zainab's hand. "Zainab, do you see that guy? That is husband material, wrapped in money." Zainab shrugged. "He's just a guy. Besides, people say he's into dirty money." Tenny hissed. "Poverty is also dirty. Money is money." Then the shocking part happened. D-Prime walked past all the packaging and went straight to simple Zainab. "Excuse me," he said. "What's your name?" Zainab blinked. "Me." "Yes, you. There's something different about you." "What's your name?" "Zainab." "Beautiful name." "I'm D-Prime. Can I have your number?" Camp went silent. And inside Tenny, jealousy started boiling. Tenny's first betrayal. As D-Prime began visiting Zainab, bringing gifts, the other girls envied her. Tenny pretended to be happy, but inside she was burning. One day, when Zainab went to the bathroom, Tenny secretly took Zainab's phone, saved D-Prime's number, and texted him. "Hi. This is Tenny, Zainab's best friend. Can we talk? I have something important to tell you about her." She then called him and told lies. "Zainab has a boyfriend back home. She's using you. She laughs at you." D-Prime listened and said, "Come to my place. Let's discuss it." Tenny thought, finally. He has seen sense. He will pick me. She dressed in her tightest dress, full makeup, perfume strong enough to chase mosquitoes out of the state. She went to his private lodge. They talked. He moved close. She allowed it. That night, they slept together. Afterwards, D-Prime stood up, came back, and threw an envelope at her. Inside is 50,000 Nigerian nairas. "You can go." Tenny froze. "Go." "I thought." He laughed coldly. "You thought I would leave Zainab for you. A girl who can betray her friend like this. You were never the main thing. You were just a side mistake. Tenny left with shame and rage. And from that day, jealousy grew in her heart like mold on old bread. Public proposal and public fire in her heart. 2 weeks before camp ended, during social night, loud music blasted. D'Prime arrived again, this time with his car decorated in roses and men carrying a cooler. When they opened it, bundles of cash. He knelt in front of Zainab and proposed with a shining ring. From the moment I saw you, I knew you were different. Will you marry me? Zainab cried and said yes. Camp exploded. Money flew in the air. People scrambled like it was national cake sharing. While everyone celebrated, Tenny stood there smiling with her mouth, but hatred in her eyes. That night, while Zainab slept happily, Tenny searched online. How to destroy someone's happiness. How to make someone disappear. And she entered a dark corner of wickedness, contacting criminal organ traffickers. She offered them a healthy girl. They replied, 500,000 Nigerian nairas. Tenny smiled the kind of smile that would make evil spirits uncomfortable. But she waited, because wicked people love perfect timing. Posting, kindness without wisdom. Camp ended. Posting came out. Zainab was posted to a decent area in Ekiti State, close to where D'Prime lived. Tenny's posting was in a very remote, dangerous place. Zainab's soft heart couldn't accept it. She begged D'Prime, please help change Tenny's posting. She's my friend. I can't let her go alone. D'Prime hesitated but agreed, because he loved Zainab. With money and connections, Tenny's posting was changed to Ado Ekiti too. Tenny screamed and hugged her. You're the best friend in the world. But inside she thought. Foolish girl. You just brought your enemy closer. The apartment and the jealousy that returned. D'Prime rented a beautiful 2-bedroom apartment for them in a nice area called Okaila. Zainab got the master bedroom. Tenny got the other room, still nice, but smaller. Jealousy entered Tenny again. Even in a shared house, she has the bigger room. Months passed. D'Prime visited, spoiled Zainab, sometimes gave Tenny small money too. Zainab even shared gifts with Tenny, food, money, everything. But jealous people don't see kindness. They only see what you have. Then Tenny saw D'Prime post Zainab online. My beautiful wife-to-be. Wedding soon. Comments poured in. Congratulations everywhere. Tenny checked her own page, nothing. That night, she called the traffickers again. I'm ready. The club plan and the fake Uber. 2 days later, Tenny entered Zainab's room. Babe, we've been indoors since we came. Let's go out small. Club. Dance. Enjoy. Zainab refused at first, she didn't drink, didn't club. Tenny begged like someone begging for oxygen. Zainab finally agreed, but said, we must be back before 11 p.m. Tenny smiled. Yes, ma. But inside she thought, you won't return. At 7:30 p.m. she ordered an Uber. The driver's name was Kabaro. Unknown to Zainab, Tenny had already paid him 100,000 Nigerian nairas. Kabaro was not a normal driver, he was a kidnapper for hire. They entered the car. Doors locked. He drove, then took turns, roads got darker, streets got empty. Zainab got afraid, driver, stop this car. Tenny also screamed, acting like a victim. The car entered a forest area. They stopped. Men appeared. They dragged both girls. On the left side, they dragged Zainab deeper into darkness. On the right side, they dragged Tenny, but once Zainab couldn't hear again, Tenny stopped acting. She dusted her dress. Where is my money? She asked. The leader handed her 500,000 Nigerian nairas. She entered the car with Kabaro and left, while Zainab remained behind. Zainab's survival. Zainab was held with other captives in a terrible hidden place. People were weak, hopeless, praying. She waited in fear, thinking of her mother. Far away in Kaduna, Mama Sophia woke up around 2 a.m. with heavy heart. a mother knows. She prayed. She cried. Neighbors joined her. And then, on one of those nights, something happened. Local vigilantes from a nearby village called Igbo had been hearing rumors and patrolling. They found the hideout, attacked, and the criminals fled to avoid jungle justice. Zainab, weak, tired, exhausted, was rescued along with others. They took her to their village, fed her, clothed her, and later helped her reach the express road. A kind woman and her husband also helped her reach the park, and she finally got transport back to Ado-Ekiti. The shocking return. After hours of travel, Zainab reached home around evening. She opened the gate, entered the apartment quietly, and smelled food. She entered the kitchen and saw Tenny sitting comfortably, eating jollof rice and chicken like someone on vacation. Zainab froze. Tenny raised her head and nearly fainted. In her mind, Zainab was supposed to be gone forever. The spoon fell. Jesus. Zainab. How did you come back? Zainab's voice was calm, but it carried pain like thunder inside a bottle. Tenny, if we were kidnapped together, how did you return? When did you escape? Why didn't you call me? Why didn't you call the police? Why are you here eating while I was suffering? They stared at each other. One with heartbreak and confusion. One with fear and guilt. And that was where the real Kotokota was about to begin. Thanks for. But as people often say, escaping one danger does not mean you have reached safety, sometimes another danger is already waiting. That evening in Okaila, Ado-Ekiti, when Zainab Haruna returned to the two-bedroom apartment she shared with Temilade, Tenny Adoroju, the first thing she noticed was the smell of food. Jollof rice. Fried chicken. She walked in quietly, exhausted and shaky, still carrying the fear of what she had survived. The kitchen light was on. And there, sitting comfortably and eating like someone on vacation, was Tenny. Zainab froze. Tenny looked up, and her face drained of color. In Tenny's mind, Zainab was supposed to be gone forever. Her spoon slipped from her fingers and clattered onto the plate. Jesus. Zainab. How did you come back? Zainab's voice was calm, but it carried deep pain. Tenny, if we were kidnapped together, how are you already home? When did you escape? Why didn't you call me? Why didn't you call the police? Why are you sitting here eating while I was suffering? They stared at each other. Zainab's eyes held heartbreak and confusion. Tenny's eyes held fear, because she knew she had been caught in a question she couldn't answer honestly. And that was where the real trouble began. Tenny's performance. Tenny's mind raced. She forced her face into shock and concern and rushed forward as if to hug Zainab, but Zainab stepped back. I asked you a question, Zainab said. Tenny swallowed and began to act. I escaped, she stammered, making her voice shake. When they separated us in the forest, they dragged me to one side. But I fought them. I hit one of them so hard he screamed. I grabbed a big stick and struck another. I kicked the third one, and I ran. I ran through the forest until I reached the main road. A taxi driver helped me. Zainab watched her closely. So you escaped that same night? Yes, Tenny said quickly. That same night. And you didn't call the police? I did, Tenny insisted. I called your phone but it was switched off. I called your mother in Kaduna. She was crying and praying. I called D-Prime too, he contacted the police. They've been searching for you for 5 days. Zainab's heart sank. 5 days. For 5 days she had been tied up in a place where people were taken away and never returned, while Tenny had been safe at home. Zainab sat slowly on the sofa, her mind spinning. Tenny's story did not add up. Professional kidnappers do not simply let someone escape because she fought. Not unless she was never meant to be a victim. Not unless she was part of the plan. But trauma can make the mind suspicious. Zainab tried to push the thought away. Tenny is my friend. She wouldn't, would she? What really happened to Zainab? Zainab told her own story, her voice breaking. They took me to a building deep in the forest, an organ harvesting hideout. I watched them take people into a room one after another, and none of them came back. When it was almost my turn, vigilantes from a nearby village called Igbo raided the place. The kidnappers fled. That's how I survived. Tenny made her face look horrified. But behind her expression, guilt and fear moved quietly. Tenny quickly changed the subject. Thank God you're alive. Sit down. You need food. You look so thin. Zainab ate like someone who had been starving because she had been. But even while eating, one thought kept pressing in her mind. If Tenny truly escaped that night, why weren't the kidnappers chasing her too? Why was it only Zainab who suffered? D'Prime arrives, love, tears, and suspicion. Zainab used Tenny's phone to call her mother, Mama Sophia, in Kaduna. Mama Sophia cried so hard Zainab could barely understand her words. My daughter. Ola. I knew my prayers would not fail. After that, Zainab called Damale Ajayi, D'Prime. He answered immediately. Zainab. Is that you? Don't move. I'm coming now. Less than an hour later, his Range Rover screeched into the compound. He ran inside and stopped when he saw her sitting on the sofa. Tears poured down his face. He knelt and hugged her tightly. I thought I lost you. I contacted the police, private investigators. I was ready to pay anything. Tenny watched from the kitchen doorway. And jealousy returned like a sickness. Even after everything, D'Prime still looked at Zainab as if she were priceless. D'Prime pulled back and looked at her closely. What happened? Tell me everything. Zainab told him the whole story, the Uber, the forest, the men, the hideout, the organ harvesting room, the vigilantes. D'Prime's fist clenched. Then he turned to Tenny. And you said you escaped that same night by fighting them? Yes, Tenny replied, suddenly small. D'Prime stared at her with a hard, measuring look, as if he was reading a lie off her face. He didn't argue. He didn't accuse her. But the suspicion sat in the room like a silent witness. Then D'Prime said firmly to Zainab. From today, you're not staying here anymore. I'm moving you to a secure place. I hire bodyguards. Zainab protested weakly, but D'Prime cut her off. No arguments. I almost lost you. Tenny felt as if she had been slapped. Zainab would be taken to a better place, protected, cherished. And she, Tenny, would remain behind. Tenny calls the traffickers again. That night, after D'Prime left and Zainab slept, Tenny locked herself in the bathroom and called the organ traffickers. It's me, she hissed. The girl is alive. She escaped. The trafficker laughed. You delivered her. We collected her. That's where our deal ended. You took 500,000 Nigerian nairas. Tenny snapped. Give it back. Don't call this number again, the man said, and ended the call. Tenny stared at her reflection. Her eyes were red. Her face was twisted with rage. Fine, she whispered. If they won't finish the job, I'll find another way. 2 months later, the snake becomes the comforter. D'Prime's secure place was still under construction, so Zainab remained in the Okaila apartment, but now there were 2 security guards watching the compound 24/7. Zainab recovered physically. Her skin brightened again. She returned to her PPA. But at night, nightmares haunted her. She would wake up screaming, trembling, convinced she was back in that forest building. And Tenny would rush into her room, pretending to be the loyal friend. It's okay. You're safe. You're home. She held her. Comforted her. But behind that tenderness, there was poison. Every weekend D'Prime visited, bringing gifts. And every gift fed Tenny's jealousy. The birthday call, a new opportunity for evil. One day, D'Prime called Tenny. He had her number because Zainab had given it to him for emergencies. Tenny, he said, I need your help with something. Zainab's birthday is in 3 weeks, December 15th. I want it to be a total surprise. Tenny's heart beat faster. What are you planning? D'Prime's voice sounded excited. I rented an event center in Ado-Ekiti. Decorators. MC, live band. Everything. Over 200 guests, friends, family coming from Kaduna, business partners. And I'm giving her a brand new car, a 2024 white Mercedes-Benz C-Class. Tenny's fingers tightened around her phone. A car. Yes. And I need you to help keep the surprise. I'm sending a beautiful red dress, custom-made, her size. Tell her it's a birthday gift from you. Make sure she wears it that day. By 5 p.m., my driver will pick her up. Blindfold her before she enters the car, part of the surprise. The driver will take her to the venue, and then, boom, surprise party and the car. Tenny almost shouted. Blindfold her. Yes. Don't let her suspect anything. Tenny forced her voice to sound normal. Of course. I handle it. She won't suspect a thing. After the call ended, Tenny laughed softly. But it wasn't joy. It was the laugh of someone who had just found the perfect weapon. A surprise, she whispered. Yes, but not the surprise you think. Tenny's plan, steal Zainab's day, her love, and her life. Tenny presented it to Zainab. I bought you this for your birthday. Promise me you'll wear it that day. Zainab was touched. Tenny, this is too expensive. You deserve it, Tenny said. But inside she thought. Wait. Wait, because you're about to lose everything. Her plan formed clearly. The driver had never met Zainab. Whoever he saw wearing the red dress and blindfolded would be taken. Tenny and Zainab were close in size, the dress would fit Tenny. She would drug Zainab with sleeping pills on her birthday. Then she would wear the dress, blindfold herself, and enter the car instead. She would arrive at the event center and receive the party, the attention, and even the car. She imagined D'Prime seeing her and realizing she was the better woman. She believed she was clever. What she didn't know was that D'Prime was hiding something far worse. D'Prime's secret, the ritual renewal. D'Prime was not only a fraudster. He was a ritualist. His wealth did not come only from scams, it came from blood. Every 5 years, he had to renew his ritual. And the ritual required the blood of someone close to him, someone who trusted him, someone who loved him. 5 years earlier, he had used his ex-girlfriend. She disappeared. Her family was still searching. Now it was time again. And he had chosen Zainab. The party was real. The venue was real. The car was real. But it was all a distraction. After Zainab disappeared, he planned to claim she ran away with another man. He would create fake evidence, messages, calls, lies. He would act heartbroken. People would pity him. And then he would continue his life. But D'Prime didn't know that on the day of the party, the wrong woman would wear the red dress. December 15th, the morning of the betrayal. Zainab woke up on her birthday to find Tenny standing by her bed with a small cake and a bottle of wine. Happy birthday, Tenny sang. Zainab laughed, still sleepy. They went to the living room. Tenny cut the cake. She poured 2 glasses of wine. And while Zainab wasn't looking, she dropped a small white tablet into Zainab's glass. It dissolved instantly. Sleeping pills, strong ones. To friendship, Tenny said, smiling. To friendship, Zainab replied. 20 minutes later, Zainab felt dizzy. Tenny, my head. It's the wine, Tenny said gently. You don't drink. Go back to bed. Rest. I'll wake you up later. Zainab staggered into her room and collapsed. Within seconds she was asleep. Tenny stood over her, smiling. Sleep well. When you wake up, your birthday will be over. And your man will be mine. 5 p.m., the pickup. Tenny spent the day preparing. A long bath. Hair. Makeup. Then she took the red dress from Zainab's room and put it on. It fit perfectly. At 4:55 p.m., a message arrived from an unknown number. I'm outside, ready for pickup. Tenny's heart raced. She tied a scarf over her eyes as a blindfold. A knock came at the door. Come in, she called. The door is open. Footsteps entered, heavy, confident. Madam, a deep voice said, we're here to take you to the surprise party. Please keep your eyes closed. It's part of the surprise. Tenny smiled under the blindfold. No problem. They guided her out and into a vehicle. The engine started. As the car moved, Tenny imagined the moment she would remove the blindfold and see the hall full of people cheering for her. She imagined D'Prime's face. She imagined the Mercedes-Benz. The event center. The surprise turns into a nightmare. After about 30 minutes, the car stopped. She could hear loud music. She could smell food and expensive perfume. Cool air conditioning confirmed it was a large hall that you would see on a red carpet. The red dress arrived the next week. It was stunning, silk, beading, the kind of dress. Someone guided her forward. Heels clicking on a smooth floor. A microphone voice boomed. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Today is a special day, my beautiful fiancé's birthday. People cheered. Tenny smiled wider. Now she is here, the voice continued, blindfolded as part of the surprise. Let's reveal it. A drumroll began. A man whispered to her. In 3 seconds, remove your blindfold. 1, 2, 3. Before her fingers could pull it off, gunshots exploded. The sound was deafening. Instantly, the hall turned to chaos. Armed robbers. Get down. Jesus. More gunshots. People screamed and ran. Tables overturned. Plates shattered. Tenny panicked and tried to remove the blindfold, but strong hands grabbed her. 3 men held her tightly. No, wait, she screamed. I'm not Zainab. But nobody heard clearly in the chaos. Someone shouted. They are taking the birthday girl. Tenny screamed louder. I'm Tenny. Not Zainab. Still, no one understood. She felt cold air as she was dragged outside. A van door opened. She was thrown in like a sack. The door slammed shut. The van sped away. Inside, she cried and begged. Please. You have the wrong person. A man shoved her down. Shut up, he barked. If you make noise, I'll knock you out. Tenny went silent, tears soaking her blindfold. The shrine. After a long drive, the van slowed. A gate creaked open. Crickets chirped. The smell of trees and bush filled the air. They dragged her out. She was taken into an old building. A corridor. Footsteps echoing. Then a cold voice said, remove the blindfold. Tenny's hands shook as she pulled it off. And what she saw nearly stopped her heart. It was not a party hall. It was a shrine. White and red paint covered the walls. Chalk symbols marked the floor. Candles, dozens of them, burned, throwing violent shadows. Clay pots smoked in the corners. In the center was a black stone altar with heavy chains, and old brown stains that looked like dried blood. Men stood around her in red and black robes, their faces marked with white chalk. Tenny collapsed. Then she heard footsteps. And she turned. D'Prime entered. But he was no longer dressed like a rich businessman. He wore a red robe with black markings. White chalk painted his face. And in his hand was a long knife that gleamed in the candlelight. Tenny's mind shattered. The party was never just a party. The robbery was staged. The kidnapping was planned. D'Prime was a ritualist. And he had meant to sacrifice Zainab. Now, because Tenny wore the dress, she was the one standing in Zainab's place. You were going to kill Zainab, Tenny whispered, trembling. All this love, the gifts, it was fake. D'Prime looked at her coldly. You ruined everything. Zainab was supposed to be here, not you. But the ritual must be completed tonight before midnight. The gods don't care who dies. They only care that blood is spilled. He turned to an older man covered in beads and charms. Boba, D'Prime asked. Is she acceptable? The old man walked around Tenny slowly, studying her as if she were meat. Then he nodded, smiling. She is young. Healthy. Female. And most importantly, she has a wicked heart. Jealousy. Greed. Betrayal. The gods love wicked hearts. She will do? Tenny screamed. No. Please. I don't want to die. I'm only 24. Two men grabbed her and dragged her to the altar. They chained her wrists and ankles. The air thickened as the men began chanting. The candles flickered wildly. Smoke filled the room. D'Prime raised the knife. Back at the event center, D'Prime's perfect acting. At the event center, the scene was chaos, overturned tables, crying guests, terrified people hiding under chairs. Police sirens arrived within minutes. D'Prime played his role perfectly. His expensive outfit was torn. His face was wet with fake tears. They took her, he cried. They kidnapped my fiancée. Witness after witness told the same story. A girl in a red dress, they dragged her into a black van. The police chief asked. What is her name? Zainab Haruna, D'Prime said, voice shaking. She's 24, an NYSC copper. He announced a reward. 5 million naira for any information. People gasped. The police took his statement and asked him to come to the station for paperwork. He went and filed a convincing report, full of lies. By around 9:30 p.m., he left the police station. But he did not go home. He drove straight toward the forest areas, toward the hidden shrine, because the final stage of his plan was waiting. Cliffhanger. Meanwhile, back at the Okwaila apartment, Zainab was still unconscious from the sleeping pills. When she finally wakes up and realizes Tenny is missing, will she suspect the truth? Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel.